Good morning, everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the escalating situation in Ukraine. I'm going to explain how I think Vladimir Putin is actually going to play Donald Trump by not playing him. We're going to be talking about the two-tier justice system that seems to be emerging now in the United Kingdom, whereby if you are a straight, white, Christian man, you are potentially going to get harsher sentences if you do the same crime as someone from a ethnic or religious minority. So before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to give you guys a quick plug, I guess, to a book I've got. I'm going to be giving these away today, two of them actually, volume 1 and volume 2. Now, I'll put a link to this in the description, and if you could please just go and check them out. This is called Black Sea Whale, and this is Ideas and Stories from Ukraine. I know the author, I know the publishers really well. They're good friends of mine. They're great people. I am going to be giving away a copy of each one of these. I think I've got 4 copies of each, so 8 books to give away. These retail at 20 quid each. I'm going to be giving these away on tonight's live stream on the other platform, guys, okay? So I've not been paid to do this. They're just really good guys. So I'll be putting links in the description, and if you can, please go and give them a share, give them a like, go on their website, and if you could consider, getting one of those books for yourself. Right, so let's just get on with this, and don't forget to hit those buttons below, the like, the subscribe, and drop a comment as well. So, as we're sat here and we're talking about conflicts, and it's all over the news about a peace deal, the Ukrainians are ready to enter into a peace deal, into peace negotiations. Let's not forget, everybody's talking about peace, but they're still fighting on the front line. Just last night, Russia carried out massive missile and drone attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Now, this does seem to be a method of operation, or methodus operandi, or whatever they call it in Latin. Energy, guys. It does seem that energy and the energy system is a legitimate target now in this war. And I would speculate that coming into the United Kingdom, as we move into times of potential sabotage in this country, I've warned long ago, back in 2023, I think, about the vulnerabilities to the utilities in the United Kingdom, and how they are undefendable against a competent sabotage attack. So I think in the next coming weeks, days, months, whatever, this is going to happen. Vladimir Zelensky will go out there and he will do whatever he needs to do with Donald Trump, and whether that happens or however that materializes doesn't really matter, because the key to all this, ladies and gentlemen, is, will Vladimir Putin accept to any, will Vladimir Putin accept this? Now, what I think is going to happen, the Russians will just delay this. Now, this is a tactic that the Russians do, and the Russians do it really well. The Russians will delay signing any peace deal. The Russians will delay signing any ceasefire, any negotiations. They'll just delay it. And they'll say, yes, we're going to do this. Yes, we're going to do it. Of course, we're going to do it. Of course, we're going to do it. Oh, we can't come this Friday. My sister's having her nails done. Oh, I can't come this Friday. It's going to have to be next Friday. And it's always going to be mañana. It's not going to, in my opinion, my speculation, my analysis, the Russians will just delay this. And then the Russians will either blame the United Kingdom, the Russians will either blame Europe. I think they're going to blame the United Kingdom for reasons why they cannot sign a ceasefire, why they can't enter into a ceasefire. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the Russians are fantastic at this propaganda, and people just swallow it up. They really do. People swallow it up. I can remember back in 2014, there were literally Russian tanks, Russian soldiers, Russian trucks, everything Russian came over from Russia, and they annexed Crimea. And I can remember sitting there and thinking, the world's meat, I can remember sitting there and thinking, those soldiers have blatantly come from Russia, the little green men that annexed Crimea in 2014. And I can remember thinking, Vladimir Putin's just come out and he said, we have no regular forces in Crimea. And then the world's media was like, who are these forces? Who are they? Where are they from? I was like, guys, are you really are you serious right now? Are you really saying that those tanks, those trucks, those hundreds, maybe even thousands of troops with Russian kit and equipment, Russian clothes, Russian weapons, are you really saying that they're not Russian? I mean, realistically, guys, is that what you're saying right now? Like the world's media, have you not put two and two together? But the world's media, for months, nobody was saying that these were Russian. They were saying, no, we don't know where these soldiers are coming from. And I'm like, wow. I've been, and I like in Northern Ireland, in other parts of the world, I fought against these terrorist groups and these separatist groups. And do you know what they don't have? Full military logistics supplies. They have other things. They have civilian logistics supplies, but they don't have the amount of resources that the Russian military have. And then we have the conflict that happened in Donbass, where there was a separatist military. Separatists that are in Ukraine don't acquire tanks. Separatists don't acquire anti-aircraft systems. It's just absolutely absurd. And the Russians were very good saying that they're, for months, maybe even over a year, and the world's media were just saying, oh yeah, the Russians have got no involvement in here. And it was so blatant, ladies and gentlemen. So let's not forget that the Russians are masters at playing the West, because the West don't understand the game they are playing. Remember, you're kind of like, comparing apples and oranges. The Russians will play propaganda. They will play word of mouth. They will give dual meanings to everything. And Sergei Lavrov, he is a fantastic Russian operator. He's, and I'm Team GB, I'm Team West, but, I have to respect people for when respect's due. Sergei Lavrov is brilliant, and he's going to have people like David Lammy eating out of the palm of his hand. Sergei Lavrov is leagues above David Lammy's intellect, and there's no comparison here. If these two do get their intellectual weight together, I don't see this ending well for David Lammy. David Lammy will question his own. He will question his own reality. So that's the situation in Ukraine right now, ladies and gentlemen. Attacks on the Ukrainian energy structure. There's this talk about some sort of peace deal, peace negotiations. Equally, as there's talk about peace negotiations and peace deal, the Europeans, and like I've always said, ladies and gentlemen, go back through my videos. I've done so many videos on this. The Europeans are going to have to pull their big boy pants up and start dealing with this threat, because it's not the Americans' responsibility. I'm not convinced that this mineral deal will go through. If it goes through or if it doesn't go through, doesn't really matter, because the outcome's still going to be the same. Europeans now are talking about managing to raise 800 billion for this war effort, and that is a substantial amount of money. But what people don't understand is the more money you invest, the more the more money you put into a problem, the more you have to keep spending. Think about your car. Everybody's had this situation where you've got a car, something goes wrong on it, you take it into the garage, you get that fixed, it comes out, something else is fixed. You're like, oh, I just had that fixed. Right, I'm going to have to fix it now because and then you just keep plowing money into it. Whereas early on, if you'd have just said, no, I'm good, I'm not putting another penny into that, I'm going to get rid of that car. You could have done that then. But the more money you plow into a situation, the harder it is to pull out. Now, we've got more talk in the United Kingdom now, this time from about conscription or national service. Remember, I'm giving you the dates. I believe that we're going to see military recruitment in the new taxes are going to come into force in April, 1st of April. So just under a month, I guess. New taxes in on the 1st of April. It's going to take a couple of months, I reckon, for that to filter down and people to decide how bad the situation is. Then you're going to have people, and again, this is going to come as a punctuation, and to punctuate that even further, we're going to have cuts to welfare. Go figure. So that's going to drive people into unemployment. You're going to have more people searching for less jobs. You're going to have more people defaulting on repayments, mortgages, rent. Kids have stuff to pay for school. People are really going to be struggling, ladies and gentlemen. That is what's coming. Now, that's going to, like I said, that's going to start in April. You're going to have May, June. I would speculate at the end of June, maybe mid-end of June, you're going to see an uptick in military recruitment. I think they're going to get rid of the red tape. I think they're going to start to employ, and they're going to get rid of the wokery in the military. They're going to start making military adverts that actually look cool, and it's not people taking their boots off and praying in the middle of a patrol. Listen, guys, that just doesn't happen. It's so absurd. I don't even know what those guys were thinking when they did that video. So anyway, national service, I'll put all these links in the description. National service would help bolster UK troops in Ukraine, says ex-defense minister. The government should restore national service to bolster the potential deployment of British troops to Ukraine. Now, this is from the former defense minister, Tobias Ellwood. Now, you've got to understand the difference between conscription and national service. National service would be where you, me, your kids, anybody really, is put to work in the military-industrial complex. So if you think back to the Second World War, the Queen, was she the Queen? Yeah, I think she was the Queen. Oh, anyway, the Queen, the late Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth, she worked in a powder factory, so she was doing stuff with gunpowder, packing ammunition, and sending that off to the troops. I do think that this is a strong possibility. We have a massive amount of unemployed people in the United Kingdom, and turning the United Kingdom, putting the United Kingdom into a war economy, it would stop that. What I don't see happening initially is conscription. And I've been quite clear about this, I don't see conscription happening, but I think the first wave of, I guess I called it de facto conscription, is by people are going to be unemployed, people are going to be struggling, and people will join the military as a result of that. And I get it, there's lots of people saying, I'm not joining the military, it's not my fight, I won't do that. That's absolutely fine. But at some point, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people will do that. And, and this is where I feel we're going. Remember, the whole crux of this speculation and this video is Vladimir Putin's not agreed to any ceasefire yet. And like I said earlier, I don't believe that that's going to happen. What I think will happen is Donald Trump will say, I gave a great deal to everybody, but those guys don't want to take the deal. I tried to do it. It was a great deal, but it just didn't get signed. Those guys want to fight, so I'll let them fight it out. I tried so many times, and I think that's what's going to happen. Remember, the United States are going to be pushing into, the United States are going to be focused on Iran in the Middle East, March 2026. Okay, so finally, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the two-tier system, the two-tier justice system that we have in the United Kingdom, and I will put all these links in the description. Robert Jenrick says new sentencing guidelines have blatant bias against Christians and straight white men. Where are we, guys? Where are we? So this comes on the after I guess they're talking about changing the sentencing laws in the United Kingdom, whereby if you get convicted of a crime, the judge will look if you're from an ethnic or a religious minority. Now, I just don't know how this is not a two-tier system. I just don't know how this can be a two-tier system. Surely, and again, please explain me if I'm wrong, make it make sense. Surely, ladies and gentlemen, if you commit a crime in the United Kingdom, it shouldn't matter what your ethnic background is. You should get given the same sentencing regardless. I really do think that. Now, I believe that in the future, maybe late, let's say the same time, let's say early summer, late spring, you're going to see this, ladies and gentlemen. You will see a scenario where two people get convicted of almost identical crimes. And I'm thinking here, maybe it's the people in Manchester, the guys who allegedly attacked the police officers in Manchester. I think that could be the first. I think this could happen. So you could get potentially two people, and I'll come on to that in a second. So you could potentially get two people convicted of the same crimes. One is from a religious or an ethnic minority, and the other person is a straight white man with two kids and a wife. straight white man with 2 kids and a wife is going to get sent to prison for a couple of years. The gentleman from the ethnic minority or the religious minority, they're going to get a suspended sentence. And you're going to see that, ladies and gentlemen. Or the other option, or maybe both, is the 2 gentlemen that were the 2 gentlemen in regards to the Manchester airport incident where they allegedly attacked the police officers. I think this law could come into place, or these new sentencing guidelines could come into place, and you could see those 2 guys having a suspended sentence. Now, it sounds wild, it sounds crazy, it sounds insane, but if you understand ideological subversion, then you understand this is a necessary part of ideological subversion, because that is going to drive the wedges between the communities. It's going to drive an us and them. I mean, how can that not be an us and them? If 2 people get convicted of a crime and one person gets a more lenient sentence because they've never paid tax in this country or because they don't follow this country's ideals, they get a more lenient sentence. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I'm just a little bit old. Maybe I'm just a little bit old-fashioned, and I think that sentencing should be equal above the board. If you're black, white, green, yellow, blue, red, orange, no matter what your background, if you commit a crime, you should have the same sentencing. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, ladies and gentlemen. Right, guys, listen, I am going to leave that there. I'll be doing more videos later on our other platform. Just before I go, guys, I want to make sure... I want to remind you about these books again, guys, okay? Black Sea Whale, I will put the link in the description. If you could please go and check them out. Just give them a link, give them a click, give them a like or whatever, guys, okay? Please do that. They're good friends of mine. The books are great. I'm going to be talking more about these on our live stream tonight. I think I'm going to be about 7 or 8 o'clock. Anyway, guys, I'm going to Mag to Grid. I'll get you guys another video later.